Hey everybody, welcome back to Shock and Schlock. I'm your host, Churchill Gillis, and today is day 7 on day 8 of the 31 Days of Horror reviews. And as always, there will be 2 reviews coming one day this week to put this back in order. But anyway, today have a film that I was very excited about and came out a little disappointed, but we'll talk about that. That is 1983's Macumba Sexual. It is not Macumba. For anybody wondering, I keep hearing it mispronounced. It's Macumba. They say it in the film. But anyway, Macumba is like this deity in the film. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So, the plot is going to be hard to describe in this because the plot is loose, to say the least. So it's about these 2 people that are traveling. One is a writer, and the other is his partner. Her name is Alice. We never get the writer's name. Either that or I completely forgot. I looked it up online trying to find it before doing this review as well, and yes, I actually had one minor thing of preparation, but yeah, his name is unknown to anybody, unless everybody just forgot like I did. Anyway, we're traveling, and the woman is having these nightmares of these Princess Obongo, and they're like erotic nightmares where she's having these nightmares, and Princess Obongo's carrying on leashes her 2 pets, which are human sex slaves that attack Alice, and yeah, oh boy, where to begin with this one? So I didn't hate this. But I will say this is my least favorite Jess Franco film that I've seen thus far. His 80s period is not my favorite from what I've seen as well. But this one is definitely his... this is a very experimental one, but a lot of it doesn't pay off to me. I was talking to Spooky and the Sick on Cinema Boys, and I said that 70% of this film I really love, and 30% of this is really, really boring. But let's get into what I like about this first before we get there. The acting in this is fairly decent. Jess Franco himself makes an appearance as a character named Meme. It was like the receptionist of this hotel that Alice is staying at. He's really weird and creepy, and definitely a show stealer when he comes on screen. He's a very odd character in a odd movie, but definitely still manages to stand out as this slimy, nasty, perverted guy. I think the performance of Princess Obongo especially also is pretty good. She definitely has this dark, mysterious vibe to her that I appreciated. It fits the character really well. She did a good job in that role. That was played by Gita Wilson, or Ahita. I'm sorry, this is a Spanish movie. I'm sorry for mispronouncing things. But yeah, I liked those. I liked, like a lot of Jess Franco's work, I liked the cinematography, but in this case, I like about 70% of it, as I said. When Jess Franco is at the top of his game, it is great to look at. The scenes on this beach and in the desert are really beautiful looking. There are some interesting camera shots in this as well. And there are some not so interesting ones, but we'll get to that. Yeah, I like the weirdness of this one as well. That's definitely something that kept me going through the film despite it being slow. Which, once again, we'll get to after this. But there's these mix of a bird and fish hybrid, symbolic thing that are very, there's meant to look like a woman's genitals. They're really creepy, and I don't know. I like the representation of this evil sexual vibe that is going there. That's something I didn't mention about the plot. The point is that Princess Obongo is wanting to get this couple under her control. But anyway, these representations of sexual evil of this god that they talk about, Macumba. They're really creepy and weird, and I like the symbolism of them and how they look. I think that was a really nice touch. Definitely was one of the more interesting parts of the movie as well. So, yeah, it's adds to the weirdness. I like this like almost dreamlike um, structure and tone of the film as well. Um, it's very light and the scenes sort of drift together, which is a blessing and a curse. I like the surrealist tone that it brings, but I do wish there was more like actual plot here. There is not very much. Like we don't really learn a lot about Macumba or Princess Obongo like that much. I wish we got a little bit more on them. Um, and as we're moving to the dislikes, I think part of the reason of that is that just Franco. This is going to be blasphemous to a lot of Franco fans, but there is a lot of filler in this that I didn't care for. Like people are, there's a part that lasts like 2 minutes where they're literally just putting their hands in sand and letting sand go. It is very boring in these scenes, and they seem like these scenes are very superfluous to the plot. Some of them are just there to show like these pretty horizons, but a lot of them are, I talked about the desert, but like when there's nothing in the background, it's just desert and it's flat and you're not seeing hills or anything. It looks like people just walking on brown. And for someone like Jess Franco, who I enjoyed his movies for the color that they bring, this is very beige. Um, just, yeah, those scenes do not work for me. Um, but yeah, the another part of this that is very prominent that is going to bother some people more than others. In principle, this normally would not like be something that was a negative to me. I watched vintage and like 70s classic erotica and adult films and have reviewed them and talked, been very adamant about their artistic merit. Um, but this film has far too much, in my opinion, of a focus on just like sex scenes for no reason. Some of them are for a reason, but they just go on for so long. For a film that's not an adult film, I mean, these scenes drag um, several times, and some of them just connect into each other. Where like they'll just be sleeping together, and then it goes to another person. Um, just drags on a lot. There are also a lot of like weird crotch shots in this film, which is normally something that would be like almost funny that I would talk about in another film, or it wouldn't bother me. It just in the context of this movie, seeing just a close up on genitals like randomly is odd to say the least. I feel like I don't know. It just doesn't add much to the story there. I feel like this is just Franco's closest thing to a adult pornography film than anything else that he done prior. I mean, other than his actual adult films, but in the like his like regular sexploitation movies, this is definitely the closest. Um, there are several explicit inserts as well, so I'm not really sure if that was the intention originally or what, but I don't know. I feel like the tone of this is kind of messy because of some of these parts. Um, but yeah, I think this is worth a watch for number one Franco fans. You're going to probably find something to enjoy about this. I gave this a 3 out of 5. So it's sort of lower end Franco for me personally, but I did enjoy parts of it. I liked the weirdness. Um, I know I mentioned some of the sexual content as a negative. I mean, I am fully aware that the movie's called Macumba Sexual or Sexual or whatever, and it might be it's I don't know. It just doesn't fit for me. But there is one scene where it's like two people are switched out midway through a sex scene, and the tone of the like what's going on completely flips. That worked really well, but I feel like for the most part it didn't in that way. Another thing that I liked the visual of Princess Obongo and her slaves on leashes. I really thought that was interesting, like how she is like enslaving these people and treating them like animals. I feel like it was an interesting visual. I feel like that the like genitalia esque fish bird things were interesting. Characters are pretty decent. Some of the shots are great as well. Just I like 70% of this, but 30% is a lot of filler, and it doesn't do much for me. And in a film that's just at 80 minutes, it doesn't do a whole lot. Um, But yeah, it's worth a watch. If you're a fan of like erotic horror or just Franco, definitely at least give it a try. For everybody else, I feel like this is not going to be a great introduction to that genre or Franco. But yeah, not super wildly disappointed or anything, but I expected more from this one personally. But anyway, as always, I've been your host, Herschel Gillis, signing off for today. This has been day 7 of the 31 Days of Horror Reviews. On day 8. And yeah, make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Keep your notifications on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.